Hi everyone, it's Paul Tilley. Welcome back to another edition of Making Tracks. As you can see, I'm here today on the beautiful Shoal Harbor River in the Shoal Harbor Valley of Clarenville. And today, what I wanted to do was to take you on a trip to Gander. Not just any ordinary trip. This is a loop that's going to bring us, first of all, we're going to go up to Terra. We're then going to go from Terra up the Terra Resource Road to the LIL transmission line, Labrador transmission line. We're going to get on that transmission line. We're going to bring us right down to the Sabena crash site, the very first major civilian air disaster in the world happened here in Newfoundland in 1946. And we're going to take a look at the Sabena site. We're going to leave the Sabena site, and then we're going to head further west across the Gander River, and then we're going to go to a place called Igloo City, which is a very interesting little community of old school buses all done up as cabins. We'll take a look at that. Then we're going to go up to Glenwood. And from Glenwood, we're going to go down the Trans-Canada Highway back to Gander. We're going to stay in Gander overnight, and then we're going to come from Gander back to Clarenville on the trailway. So here we are on the first stage. I call it the Panhandle stage. You're going to go from Clarenville up to Terra. It's about 50 kilometers to get to the town of Terra. And you go through Thorburn Lake, past Chute Brook, down to Port Blandford, and in Port Blandford you'll cross the trestle there. And there's an opportunity to stop and take a look at that new marina. Then you move on towards Terra. Now at Terra, this is where our loop begins, and you can choose to go one direction in the loop or the other direction in the loop. Keep on the trailway, it will bring you direct to Gander, and really, you can make it to Gander in another 80 kilometers. Pretty straightforward. If you're pressed for time on the given day you're doing it, go to Gander first. However, if it's in the morning and you got lots of time, take the opportunity to do what I call the LIL and Sabena route before you get to Gander. So in other words, take the long way around first. So it really depends on the type of the day. It doesn't matter what you do, you'll get to see both of it, and it's pretty straightforward, but I encourage you to think about that before you go. The day we went in the long direction, which is the LIL, and then to Sabena, and then around to Gander. So here we are going up the Terra Resource Road here, and it goes up about 15 kilometers before you intersect the Labrador Island Link, the LIL. And basically, all you need to do is go up and turn right onto the link and keep going down the link. Now, the link road is pretty straightforward going. I mean, you can't get lost. You just chase it down. It's about 60 kilometers to the Sabena crash. So what we're going to do is go up here. There is one spot where it goes away from the transmission line to pick up the bridge at Triton Brook and comes back again. You'll see it on the map as a little zigzag. Speaking of zigzags, there were a couple of beers along this trail we saw. There's one right there. You'll notice too that there's a fair bit of traffic on this trail. It's a pretty popular destination. So here's a bunch of people coming the opposite direction that we waited for here. And they were doing exactly the same thing. You'll know you're getting close to the Sabena site when you turn off here like this. You'll notice this sign in the woods here that says Sabena. So be careful to look for that. Now, it's about a 3 kilometer trail up to the site. So this goes in. You can see it's pretty narrow. It is pretty narrow. You got to take your time in here. And for really the first 2 kilometers is like this. It's pretty straightforward. It's it's grown in a bit, but you can certainly get up there. The last kilometer, it's the last kilometer problem. The last kilometer you will see it turns up, and it's a very, very rocky trail. There it is right there. Now, you can go up there, you can walk up there, or you can very carefully take your quad up there. We very carefully drove up there. This is a bit of a surreal sight, and as I mentioned earlier on, this was really the world's first major civilian airliner crash. There were 44 people on that plane on the morning of September 18th, 1946. That plane had come from Brussels, Belgium, landed in Shannon, Ireland, gassed up in Shannon, came across the ocean in the middle of the night, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, as they were trying to land in Gander, they basically could not find where the airport was. It was a miserable morning, and the plane crashed in the woods. There was a huge explosion. Many people died. 26 of the 44 died immediately, and one more died in hospital. This Sabena crash is a very important part of our aviation history, not only in Newfoundland, but in the world. This was, as I say, the very first major crash, and it was the very first use of helicopters. Take a look at the video Sabena, Gander, Newfoundland crash. I'll put the link in the description here, but it's worth watching just to get a background in all of the goings on with regards to the crash and the rescue effort and the heroism it took in order to get those people rescued. Carrying on another 30 kilometers, you'll make it to Igloo City, which is an interesting combination of cabins and old school buses turned into cabins. Make sure you take an opportunity to drop in there and see all of the interesting sights. The colors, the buses, the eras are all represented. Leaving Igloo City, we move north, and at that point in time, what we're going to do is drive up to the Trans-Canada, up this perfect road that brings you up to Glenwood. You'll cross the Gander River in Glenwood on this beautiful multi-stage trestle. And from there, you go down the trailway, perfectly groomed there. You'll go under the Trans-Canada, and it'll bring you right into Gander. And a lot of the trails alongside the Trans-Canada, so you're more or less chasing the traffic right into Gander. Now, Gander has a great setup. They have a lot of ATV trails within the town, and you can access the hotel, particularly like hotels like the Albatross have a biker special, so you can get a deal on a night and food and these sorts of things. So I encourage you to check all that out, and you should be able to access most of the hotels in Gander, and they're all geared up for it. So it's a great opportunity there to spend a night out and take in some of the sights of Gander. The final stage of the trip is the trip back to Clarenville. It's 120 kilometers straight, strictly on the trailway. And as you leave Gander, you'll find Gander has some great trails through it, easy to get through Gander. And then you'll get up to the airport, and after you go past the airport, about a kilometer past, make sure you take in this memorial here. This is in 1967. There was a crash, a Czechoslovakian Airlines crash where 35 people were killed. And it's just right off the end of the runway there, a kilometer off the end of the runway. So make sure you kind of size that up, because it's a real testament again to some of the incidents that occurred in Gander. I always say that the trail from Gander to Clarenville is one of the nicest stretch of trailway there. You go through places like Benton, you go down alongside the highway, nice trees, nice views. It's actually a very pretty part of the trailway system, and lots of bridges, lots of ponds, lots of things to see. And eventually you'll end up down in Gambo, and make sure you stop and say hi to Joey Smallwood. From there, another 40 kilometers or so will bring you past Mackles Lake, down the trailway, right to the beautiful town of Terra. And you'll cross the trestle there, and there's a lovely little beach. You can sit down there and have a nice lunch as we did. As we leave Terra, we head back over the same trail that we came up, which was the trail from Terra past Pitts Pond, through the golf course, through Port Blandford, up through Thorburn Lake, and finally into Clarenville. It's about 360 kilometers on my odometer. I had a little few side trips, but generally it requires a couple of days to do this. It's well worth doing. If you got a nice time of the year, you can bring some camping equipment and probably camp. You certainly should take some food, stop and have a lunch in several places. Make sure you have enough gas to get around there. So there's gas stations in Clarenville, Port Blandford, and Gander. So make sure you got lots of gas there. And as I say, the hotels, be it if you're going from Gander to Clarenville or Clarenville to Gander, the hotels in the various towns have these specials on for people on bikes. So I hope you have an opportunity to try it. Thank you for taking the opportunity to watch this with us, and we'll see you on the trails.